Hello students, in the yesterday class we have studied the Bernoulli's principle, and in today's class we are going to study about the applications of that Bernoulli's principle. What was the Bernoulli's principle? It states that for a streamlined flow of a incompressible and non-viscous, that is the ideal fluid, a streamlined flow of an ideal fluid is having the sum of potential energy, kinetic energy and the pressure energy per unit volume remains constant. This was the Bernoulli's principle statement, and we are going to study about the applications of this. And we can also say that in Bernoulli's principle, if height is remain constant or if height is not considered, see in this, if height of this cube is not considered, then what will be the Bernoulli's principle? The pressure energy plus kinetic energy will be constant. So if these three values are constants throughout this pipe, so it may be says that the pressure may be increase, velocity may be decrease, or height may be increase, velocity may be decrease, or anything, the variation may be happened in these three terms, but the sum of these three terms will be constant quantity. So if we take the height as a negligible one, or if we not consider the height of the tube, then pressure and velocity of the fluid are inversely proportional to each other, because as pressure increases the velocity decreases, or the pressure decreases the velocity may be increased, to make this whole sum as a constant. So that is the thing we are using in our application wise. See here the application of Bernoulli's principle. First we are having the speed of efflux or the Torricelli's law. Here the efflux means the fluid outflow. Whatever the fluid is coming out of a container, that is known as a efflux. And a scientist Torricelli has introduced the speed of efflux. So this speed of efflux is also known as a Torricelli's law. What is meant by speed of efflux? Means the speed with which the fluid comes out of a container if a hole is made on the side of that container. Suppose consider here a tank which is having a ideal liquid inside that, and if we made a tiny hole on the side of that container, then the fluid starts to come out of that hole. So that fluid with which it is coming with the speed, that speed is known as the speed of efflux. To calculate this, consider a tank which is having a ideal liquid in that, and we have made a tiny hole on the side of that container as shown in this figure. Let h be the height of the liquid from the hole, from this point where the hole is there. From that, what is the height of the liquid will be, that we are taken as the h, and h dash is the total height of the fluid from the ground level. And let A1 be the area of the liquid at point 1. See, we have considered the point 1 as the upper surface of the fluid and point 2 at the whole of the container. So A1 be the area of the liquid at point 1. For this surface area, whatever the area is there, that is we are considering it as A1, and A2 be the area of the liquid from this hole, that is at the point 2. And by now seeing this figure only, we can say that A1 is very much greater than A2, because we have made this hole as a very small one. So area of this surface of the liquid is very much greater than the area of the hole. So A1 is so much greater than the A2, from which we can say that by using a continuity equation, as A1 is very much greater than A2, so the V2 is very much greater than V1. That is the flow of liquid, whatever coming from this tiny hole, the velocity of flow of liquid at point 2 is very much greater than at point 1. At point 1 means as this liquid is coming out of this hole, this upper layer is coming down because of the loss of this liquid from this hole. This layer is coming down, which is very much negligible compared to the velocity of the liquid from the hole. So we can neglect that one. We have neglected the V1 here. So whatever the velocity we are taking, velocity of the liquid from the tiny hole, we are taking it as a V and take it as equation A. Therefore, as V1 is negligible, so the kinetic energy at point 1 is also 0. Then apply the Bernoulli's principle at point 1 and point 2. We will get P1, that is the pressure energy, rho g H1 is the potential energy, and half rho V1 square is the kinetic energy. That is equal to the summation of the kinetic energy, pressure energy and the potential energy at the point 2. Take it as equation number B. Since the pressure at 1, this point 1 is also having the pressure from the atmosphere, because we are not applying any pressure here. So the whatever the pressure is there, that is due to the atmosphere at 1 also and at 2 also. So the pressure at 1 point is equal to pressure at second point, that is equal to the atmospheric pressure. So we can write P1 is equal to P2 is equal to PA. And by equation 1 we are having V1 as 0. We have seen here. We have to get that V1 as a 0. That was compared to the V2. And we are having H2, that is the height of the second point from the ground surface. That will be H dash minus H. And V2, that is velocity of the fluid from this hole, that is V2 is equal to V. So substituting these all terms in the equation B, we will get PA plus rho g H dash plus 0 is equal to PA plus rho g of H dash minus H plus half rho V square. Then PA get cancels, and by substituting these terms we will get, then after simplifying these terms we get that V square is equal to root 2GH, that is V equal to square root of 2GH, and this is the velocity of the fluid or the speed of efflux, which is same as that of the velocity of a freely falling body. And this was said by the scientist Torricelli. That's why the speed of efflux is also known as Torricelli's law, and this is one of the application. Next application of the Bernoulli's principle is venturimeter. From this venturimeter we are going to find the volume flow rate of a fluid of a venturimeter. See, a venturimeter is a device used to measure the speed of the fluid flowing in steadily in a pipe, and also we are going to find the volume rate of the fluid. See, this is the diagram of a venturimeter. It consists of a tube. It consists of a tube which is constricted at the middle here. See, the area of this side tube is, we are taking it as a A1, and area of the tube where it is constricted or made as a thin one, that area we are taking it as a A2. And again the tube has the area A1 here at the end of this. So this setup is known as a venturimeter, and it is also consists of a manometer. We have seen this one, manometer, while studying the gauge pressures. So that manometer is attached at the both the tubes. One end of the manometer is attached to the broader area, and another one end of the manometer is attached to the thin area tube. And whatever the liquid flowing inside this tube is having the density rho, and in this manometer whatever the mercury we are having, that is having the density rho m, and the velocity of the fluid at the area A1 is V1, and the velocity of the fluid at the area A2 is V2, and P1 be the pressure at this point A, and P2 be the pressure at this point B. As by using the Bernoulli's principle, we can say that as the velocity increases, pressure decreases, or the velocity decreases, pressure increases. By Bernoulli's principle, we are applying the Bernoulli's principle at this wider end and also to the throat or a thinner end of the tube. So what we will get? This one, that is P1 plus rho GH1 plus half rho V1 square is equal to P2 plus rho GH2 plus half rho V2 square. In this equation, whatever the venturimeter we are taking, this is horizontally. So as horizontally it is lying, so the height of this area is equal to the height of this area. So H1 is equal to H2, that becomes H. That's why the potential energy terms are cancelled at the both the sides. So we will have the P1 plus half rho V1 square is equal to P2 plus half of rho V2 square. Then we will rearrange this equation to the P1 minus P2, that's equal to half of rho of V2 minus V1, V2 square minus V1 square. That is, we are taking it as a equation number 1. And according to the continuity equation, as we have that area, product of area and velocity are constant. So what it says, that as the area increases, velocity decreases, and vice versa. So by this equation, that is A1 V1 is equal to A2 V2, that is the continuity equation, we will take the value of V2, that is in terms of area and velocity of the first, that will be V2 is equal to A1 by A2 into V1. Then substitute this V2 value in equation number 1. What we will get? P1 minus P2 is equal to half of the rho of, in this place of V2 square, we are substituting this value. So it will be A1 square divided by A2 square into V1 square minus V1 square. From this equation, take the V1 square as a common. So what it will be? P1 minus P2 will be equal to half of rho V1 square into A1 square divided by A2 square minus 1. Take it as a equation number 2. Since we know that by continuity equation, as area increases, velocity decreases. And by using Bernoulli's principle, we have that as velocity increases, pressure decreases, and vice versa. So we are applying that condition here. See, as A1 is greater than A2 in this venturimeter, see, area A1 is greater than area A2. So as area is greater than at one place, so the velocity of the fluid is less compared to V2. As area is greater than A2, A1 is greater than A2, that implies V1 is less than V2. So as V1 is less than V2, the pressure P1 is greater than P2. That is due to the Bernoulli's principle. So as pressure, first pressure, that is pressure at point A, increases than the pressure at point B. So which leads to the change in the height of the mercury inside this manometer. What it gives? The height of the mercury level increases at point B. Because of the pressure is increased at point A, whatever the fluid flowing in this tube, that will come to in this manometer, so that the height of this mercury level inside this manometer goes up at the point B, by which we are getting the P1 minus P2, that is pressure, because we have that P1 is greater than P2. So P1 minus P2, that will be equal to the rho mgh, where rho m is the density of the liquid mercury, g is the acceleration due to gravity, and h is the height of the liquid, that is made here, this height. So by substituting this equation in the equation number 2, we will get rho mgh is equal to half rho v1 square into a1 square divided by a2 square minus 1. Then from this equation, take the value of v1 square. Then what it will be? v1 square is equal to 2 rho mgh divided by rho into a1 square divided by a2 square minus 1 raised to minus 1, because this whole term has came in the denominator of the LHS. So while taking at the numerator, we have taken this as a raised to minus 1. So it was a v1 square. To make it as a v1 is equal to, we will have the square root on the other side. That will be square root of 2 rho mgh divided by rho into a1 square divided by a2 square minus 1 whole raised to minus half. And this is the velocity of the fluid. And by this, using this velocity of the fluid at broader end, we are going to find the volume of a liquid flowing per second, or the volume rate of the fluid. That is equal to, R is equal to V1 into A1. Velocity into area gives us the volume rate. That will be R is equal to V1 into A1. And this is about the venturimeter. Next we have a atomizer or a sprayer. This is also a kind of atomizer. It works on the basis of Bernoulli's principle. In day-to-day life, you might have seen, in day-to-day life you use it. That is the perfume sprayers, insecticide sprayers, and many other sprayers. Those are all known as the atomizers, which works on the basis of Bernoulli's theorem. See, it has the construction as, it has a tube here which is having a piston, and this tip of this tube is on the end of the another tube or a bottle which is having the liquid which is to be sprayed. So when the air in the tube A is pushed through a piston, we are pushing this rod, and then on pushing this rod, the air, whatever the air was filled in this tube, that will be pushed at the tip of this tube by this piston. So when the stream of air is blown at the tip, when we push this rod, whatever the air comes out of this nozzle, that will be blown in a stream of air. So it blows at the tip of this tube, where this tube is dipped in the liquid of a bottle of having a liquid, which one we have to spray. So as the air comes out of this tube, a stream of air is blown at the tip of this tube. So it lowers as the velocity of the air is increased at this nozzle or at this tube, the pressure decreases because of the Bernoulli's principle. As the velocity increases, pressure decreases. So by giving the air at this tip, the velocity of air increases, which reduces the pressure at this tip of the tube, so that the atmospheric pressure acts on that liquid. From inside the bottle, the atmospheric pressure acts on this tip, so that this liquid comes out of the bottle and comes at the tip. Then whatever the air coming out of this tube, that will blow that liquid, which is the stream of the liquid, or a spray of the liquid. And this is about the mechanism of the atomizer or the sprayer, and which works on the principle of Bernoulli's theorem. Next we have a dynamic lift. Dynamic lift means it is the force that acts on a body such as aeroplane wing, or a hydrofoil, or a spinning ball, by virtue of its motion through the fluid. Usually you've seen in games like golf, tennis, football, or cricket, these dynamic lifts are observed. You have seen those dynamic lifts, but you are not able to identify that has occurred, that is, the dynamic lift has occurred. Let us see here. You might have seen that the spinners in a cricket, when they bowl the ball to the batsman, that ball goes inside, passes through the air, and it leaves its trajectory, and that it, as that spinning ball which deviates its path from a parabolic trajectory, that is also due to the Bernoulli's principle. Let us see. If a moving ball which is not spinning, a ball is moving in the air but which is not spinning, then whatever the air coming in its path, that will be in a streamline. At the above of the ball and the below of the ball, whatever the air is coming, that will be in a symmetry of streamlines, so that the velocity above the air and the below the air will be same. So the pressure acting above the ball and the below the ball will be same. So there is no any upward or a downward force acts on that ball. See here, if this ball is moving in this direction as shown in this diagram, the ball is moving in this direction, and whatever the air coming in its path, at the above and the below the surface of that ball will be same. So velocity of the air will be same at above and below. That's why there is no any pressure differences. But if the ball is moving in one direction, but it is also spinning it on its own axis, then as it moves in this direction, whatever the air coming in its path, see, the ball is moving in this direction, so it drags this air. Whatever the air coming above or the below, according to its spin, it drags the air, so that in this diagram the ball is spinning from right to left and left to right. See, in this diagram it has shown. So it drags the air which is above its surface, so that the velocity of air goes on increasing at the above of the surface, and velocity of the air goes on decreasing at the below of the surface of that ball, so that as velocity increased above, so as velocity is increased, the pressure above the ball goes on decreases, and similarly at the below surface of the ball the velocity decreases, so the pressure increases. So because of this pressure difference occurred, there will be a net upward force acts on this ball, and this net upward forces, there is a dynamic lift occurs, and the dynamic lift which is occurred due to the spinning of that ball, that effect is known as Magnus effect. And this is one of the application of Bernoulli's principle. Next we have a aircraft wing lift or a airfoil. We all seen the aeroplanes which are having the wings, and wings of that aeroplanes are similarly as shown in this figure. They are similar to this figure. So as the wings of that aeroplanes are so designed like that air which are the area of this upper surface of the aeroplane is larger than that of the area of the lower surface. So the velocity of the air increases when it moves. When the aeroplane is moving with a high speed, that time whatever the air coming in its direction, the air has to cross the more area at the upper surface than the lower surface in a same interval of time, so that the velocity of air increases on the upper surface of the wing, and velocity of the air decreases at the lower surface of the wing. So this, as the velocity difference is occurred, corresponding to this there is a pressure difference, that is the low pressure is occurred at the upper surface of the wing and high pressure is occurred at the lower surface of this wing, so that due to this pressure differences there will be a dynamic lift, or due to this higher pressure of the lower wing lifts the plane up and supports the flying of the plane. Next we have a blood flow or a heart attack. See here, we know that blood flows through the arteries. So in that arteries, these arteries are the tiny tubes. So in that tubes, if a plaque or the fat is accumulated on the inner surfaces of that arteries, then see in this diagram, take it as a artery, and in this artery some plaque or a fat is accumulated at the inner surfaces of these arteries, so that when the blood flows through this area at this end is higher than this area A2, A1 is greater than A2, and we know that as area increases, velocity decreases, as area decreases, velocity increases, so that when the blood comes to the area A2, its speed increases, the velocity of the flow of this blood increases, so that the pressure of this area, pressure of the blood at the area A2 decreases because of the Bernoulli's principle. So there will be a lower blood pressure at this area, so that but the pressure decreased at this area, but our heart is mainly made so that it has to maintain its blood pressure, so that the heart applies more and more pressure to this area A2, so that there will be a clean blood flow. And to make it this area as clear, the heart applies more and more pressure, which leads to the heart attack. And this blood flow and heart attacks are explained due to the Bernoulli's principle, and it is one of the application of Bernoulli's principle. And we might have seen that during the windstorm, roof of the houses are blown off, because at the upper surface of the roofs, because of the high wind flow, the velocity of the air at the upper surface of the upper surface of the roof are increased. So the pressure will be lowered corresponding to the inside the roof, so that due to this pressure difference, that roof has blown off. And also, when you have if you are standing at the platform of a train, and suddenly a train with a heavy speed, a maximum speed, when a train passes, you will feel like that train is pulling you towards itself. That is also one of the consequences of a Bernoulli's principle. And this is about the Bernoulli's principle and applications of Bernoulli's principle.